I am your host, MISHUMA SABA, M.SABA, and this is our Cultural Variety Podcast. Stay tuned. Peace. And welcome to Coffee Talk Podcast, the Cultural Variety Podcast Show. And I am your host, MISHUMA SABA, M.SABA. And this is our Cultural Variety Podcast Show. How y'all doing tonight? Thank you. Today is November 24th, 2022. And may you all be enjoying your family. May the family, everyone be carrying on positive energy. And may everyone be able to hold their liquor. Now, I just wanted to put a joke in there. You know how we do it. Yes, welcome to Coffee Talk Podcast. I'm your host, M.SABA, and tonight is our sports night. It would have been yesterday. I can't front, but I got tired, man. But I made sure that we had the script done, we had everything done and ready for our supporters, ready for our viewers to watch Coffee Talk Sports Thursday. So typically we come in on Wednesday night. So either way, we are happy to have you here and have you watching our show. Really appreciate y'all tuning in every Wednesday. Just Coffee Talk. Man, I got a great show for you tonight. Tonight we're going to discuss Dwight Howard. Dwight Howard got some words for SHAQ. So we definitely going to talk about that. If you ain't seen the video of what Dwight Howard had to say about SHAQ, because SHAQ was being SHAQ, talking about everybody being the big bully that he is. And he was discussing Dwight Howard's new team in Taiwan, and he was kind of clowning the situation on his podcast. So Dwight Howard fired back. Y'all definitely check out that video. And also on today's show, we're going to talk about and reflect on one of my favorite basketball teams, man, and that is UNLV Running Rebels, coached by Jerry Tarkanian. We're going to go down memory lane a little bit. And then we're going to finish up also talking about youth basketball. That's right, youth basketball. And how did we get to this point where you barely have coaches, you barely have refs? Everybody in the community seems to be using the same excuse, and that is to blame the rec centers instead of everybody not wanting to volunteer to make the sports rec centers a healthy and safe environment, because that's what it needs. And we all need to be a community when it comes to these kids wanting to play athletic sports. That's what our show is tonight here at Coffee Talk Podcast. As you come on into the show, I like to say thank you. Come on in. Blessings. All right. So if you don't know, we're Coffee Talk Podcast, a cultural variety podcast show. And what we do is we appear 3 days a week. We do have alternate days throughout that week, but our Sunday and Monday shows is really about culture. So we celebrate our ancestors, our doctors, our scholars, our lawyers, our people. We like to do poems. We like to read chapters out of books or even small paragraphs, but we like to give you that type of flavor on Sunday, Monday nights. On Wednesdays is typically our sports show. If we ever miss a Wednesday, best believe we're going to make it up to you, and we will podcast on Thursdays. But our sports edition is not about who won or lost the game. We don't really care about all of that. What we like to do is give you the intricacies of what goes on behind the scenes in the world of sports, what our athletes have to go through. You know what I'm saying? Sort of like Kyrie Irving and what he had to go through, and what a lot of our athletes continue to go through and continue to settle on. So that's what we do here at Coffee Talk Podcast. That's the flavor we give you on Wednesday nights. And then on an alternate Friday and Saturday night, we love to have guests. We love to play 10-question Q&A. We like to just have a good time. We like to call that the end of the week grown folks night. Grown folks humor, laughter, jokes, grown folks stories. So we really don't want no kids watching our show on Friday, Saturday night. It's really a show for young-minded adults, intellectuals, adults, as well as if the elders want to pop in, them too. Coffee Talk Podcast is for the people. So that's what we doing tonight. And if this is your first time chiming in, we never start the show without giving you its flavor and some wise words for one of our people throughout history. So here we go with that. All right, so tonight's flavor is wine. No doubt about it. You've been eating all day with your people, and your favorite football game is getting ready to come on and you want to get settled in. So today's flavor is wine. Why not swallow it down with some wine? You know what I'm saying? She likes it. You like what she like. And it just makes for a good evening. You know what I'm talking about? So whatever you could do, go to the LQ, go to the liquor store, grab you some, or go to the Target's or whatever store has a liquor store in it, grab you some nice wine to go with that food. Red wine is definitely beneficial for your health as well as white wines, and we will discuss that. Today's flavor is wines. Why? Because it decreases the risk of cancer. Why? Because it's rich in antioxidants. Why? Because it's good for the heart. Why? Because it helps reduce inflammation. Why? Because it decreases the levels of bad cholesterol. Why? Because it prevents formation of plaque and artery damage in the heart. Why? Because it helps with lung health. Why? Because it maintains a physique. Why? Because it improves mental health. That's why we want to have wine, and that's why wine is tonight's flavor. Also, tonight's wise words comes from one of my favorite baseball players in the history of the game. This person, whenever I talk sports, if I was to build my own 20 top athletes and their contributions to the culture, this man would definitely be on that 20-man Mount Rushmore or Hall of Fame of mine. This brother played baseball. He was part of the Negro Leagues as well as Major League Baseball. His Major League Baseball stats hails as a pitcher, 118 wins, 80 losses. He struck out in Major League Baseball 1,438. He had an ERA of 2.7. This guy is a two-time Major League All-Star in 1952 and 1953. He is a six-time Negro League All-Star in 1933, 34, 36, 41, 42, and 43. This man won a World Series in 1948 and also a Negro League championship in 1942. He is also, to this day, in the year of 2022, the oldest baseball player in the history of baseball. He played his last baseball game at the age of 59 in Major League Baseball as a pitcher. It tells you what type of arm he has. So tonight's wise words is no other than from the great, and one of my favorite athletes, one of my 20th greatest athletes, Satchel Paige, Hall of Famer, former pitcher for the St. Louis Browns. He was born July 7th, 1906 in Mobile, Alabama, and he went to the Essence June 8th, 1982. Here's his wise words. Don't pray when it rains if you don't pray when the sun shines. We're going to say that again. The wise words of Satchel Paige. Don't pray when it rains if you don't pray when the sun shines. Mr. Satchel Paige, Hall of Famer, 6-time Negro League pitcher, 2-time Major League All-Star, 6-time Negro League All-Star, and one of our heroes, one of our ancestors, Satchel Paige. All right. If you're just tuning in to Coffee Talk Podcast, wherever you are, go ahead and let us know that you're here. Go ahead and drop us a dime. You know what I'm saying? Say hello, say how you doing, greetings, what's up, peace, salam, whatever you may do. But we love hearing from you here at Coffee Talk Podcast. We love that you come and view us and check out our show. But you got to do us one. And what you do is pour yourself some water, some wine, a coffee, a cappuccino, a beer, a smoothie, whatever it is that you do. But come on in, kick your feet up, enjoy yourself in our humble home here at Coffee Talk Podcast. Peace. All right, so let's go ahead and dive right in. We're talking about, we giving big ups, man. We giving big ups to Dwight Howard. You know, SHAQ been hating on people for a long time, man. Yes, SHAQ, you've done all the greatest accomplishments. You're one of the most physical specimens in basketball. And here at Coffee Talk Podcast, we got respect for both you brothers, because that's how we do. That's the flavor we bring here at Coffee Talk. I don't like to do no negative stories on our show. We are the new media. However, I believe in accountability. I believe when we see bullshit, we call it out amongst our own. We don't need other people checking us when we need to be checking us when we ain't all on point, on square. So, SHAQ, we calling you out on this one, King. You've been bullshitting. You called the young brother, Kyrie Irving, who has done nothing but immaculate charity, immaculate work, helping everybody that he can, being an inspiration to everybody he comes in contact with. But because he posts a picture that someone to use this word, this police word, anti-Semitism or anti-Semitic. Instead of being there for your brother, to be a shoulder, to talk to counsel or whatnot, you call him an idiot? The black man's an idiot for wanting to know himself? The black man's an idiot for wanting to seek knowledge of himself? But what really makes it bad, though, SHAQ, is that, brother, you ain't even conscious enough, or maybe even in the awareness that your own movie theater was playing the movie. So are you an idiot as well? This is the problem we have today in 2022-23. Too many people got the microphone. And they are subconsciously and consciously just agents. I tell people all the time, when I'm talking to people or trying to uplift people, trying to empower people, trying to enlighten people, because that's what we're supposed to do. It's always a debate argument with some foolish ass Negroes that are filled with excuses, that are afraid to do the knowledge. They like the watchdogs for us not getting out information. Deep down, they don't want you to elevate over them. So they like to attack the messenger so that you, the follower, can stay in your position. SHAQ, you made all the money in the world. You're a Hall of Famer, one of the top 50. But you be hating too much. I remember when you did the SHAQ Fu shit, and I used to watch it. The first season was cool, funny, humorous. It was you, SHAQ. But then I watched how you would go after JaVale McGee time and time again. He's an NBA player. He's trying to stay with a team. He's in search of trying to win a championship as well. Because as a young man, that's what he wanted to do, and that's what he dreamed of. But instead of being supportive, you want to continue to just talk about the young man till that man's mama had to step in. You fucking with the church's money, is what we say on the street. JaVale McGee since then has went on and won a ring or two. But everybody ain't SHAQ. And SHAQ, you ain't Hakeem. And to me, Hakeem is way better than you. You was just a physical specimen, but you couldn't do what Hakeem the Dream, Olajuwon used to do. And that's why he swept you. And don't blame youth either. Because even then you was more faster, stronger, powerful than Hakeem. But Hakeem had that knowledge of the game. You do too much hating. I peeped you on Drink Champs a couple weeks back. A hip-hop show all about the culture. Big up to Nori and EFT. But you was on there talking about being a cop and all that, and I'm in favor of any black man wanting to be whatever he wants to be, a cop, a fireman, an airline, a pilot, whatever he wants to be. But this was the hip-hop culture show, and all you was really doing was bragging on the fact that you got a badge and bragging on the fact that you will lock somebody up and all this weak shit. Because you SHAQ. SHAQ, you forget people know about you, homie. I remember Kobe talking about he should have just paid the chick off just like you do. Now, you could get mad if you want to, and we could talk about it, but we ain't gonna act like it didn't happen, bruh. Why you steady hating on people all the time? A lot of brothers respect you out here. A lot of brothers loved your game. But you starting to reveal yourself. You're being funny acting. And ain't nobody really called you out on it. So I'm happy that Dwight Howard chose to call you out on it. Make sure y'all check out the video on YouTube. I apologize that we ain't got the video footage for you here at Coffee Talk. JaVale McGee. Dwight Howard. On Drink Champs cooning. Hated on Kobe. Hated on Kyrie Irving. Called him an idiot. But you reaping the rewards and the revenue at your own theater. Showing a movie that they wanted to basically castrate Kyrie Irving for just showing the picture. You need to go somewhere, man. Your humor is cool. With all that bully talk all the time about what you would do to Kenny A. Or Kenny, yeah, Kenny, you know the hell I'm talking about. And Chuck. You act like there's no video footage of Chuck body slamming you in the NBA. And that's why you be joking with Chuck all the time, but you still mad about that shit. Because none of us, because we ain't young. We the older heads over here, and I love saying that. I love calling ourselves older heads and looking as young as we do. We eat healthy. SHAQ, I'm gonna tell you straight up, man, money don't really make the man, man. That's something that gotta be in you, not on you. Stop disrespecting your brothers at every chance you get. And then bootlicking with them people all the damn time, man. We don't respect that shit. And maybe you don't respect us. But we calling you out on that, man. Stop that hating. We want to go ahead and salute Dwight Howard for what you did, King. And we understand that in your 19th season, you over there playing in Taiwan and you putting up some good numbers. And besides the points and the rebounds, you look like you're in good physical shape. You're running up and down that court. You're getting to play how you want to play, because we all know in the NBA, each individual has to adapt to their roles. So you might not be the main guy. You might not get 20, 30 shots up a night, 10, 15 shots up a night. They expect you to go clean boards and get your buckets. And then it's minutes driven. But we want to go ahead and salute you, Dwight Howard, man, for one, keeping it real with SHAQ. Two, for continuing to play good ball in your 19th season and being a world ambassador, playing here in the NBA and then going over to Taiwan and then defending those people for the bullshit that SHAQ said about the team. We respect that. Thank you, brother, as we move on to our next subject. All right. Welcome to Coffee Talk Podcast. Again, I am your host, MISHUMA SABA, M.SABA, and this is our Cultural Variety Podcast show. Next up, I want to talk about this team, man. One of my favorite teams. I got two favorite teams, man, since I was little. You know how y'all ride with certain teams? Like, you know, a majority of fans, they be like, man, I rock with the Cowboys. That's America's team. Some rock with New England. Some rock with whoever team Tom Brady's on. Everybody has their team. The Raider fans, the New York Giant fans, you know what I'm saying? The Denver Bronco fans, the Green Bay Packer fans. Everybody has their fans. And me, two of my favorite teams growing up, man, and still to this day in basketball was the UNLV Running Rebels and the Georgetown Hoyas. But tonight, we're going to be talking about UNLV 1989-1990 championship and then that loss in 1991 to the Duke Blue Devils. Let's talk about it. All right, so look, it was 1989-1990. The UNLV Running Rebels was coached by one of my favorite coaches, man, in basketball, Jerry Tarkanian. We also called him the Shark. This team had a lineup, a starting five of Larry Johnson. Also would go on to the NBA, play for the Charlotte Hornets and the New York Knicks, and he would take on the persona of what we call Grandmama, Larry Johnson. 6'8" Stacey Augmon. We used to call him Plastic Man. 6'8" Greg Anthony, who you can see on NBA TNT and other various NBA shows. The captain, the boy with mad heart. 6'1" with a pure, beautiful jump shot. I mean, it was water. Anderson Hunt. And then the boy in the block, man, that would clean all the boards up, played great defense, shot blocker, the whole 9, 6'9", George Ackles. That was that five. UNLV, gold teeth, brush fades, baggy shorts, that red, white, and black. UNLV. UNLV went on to have 3 of those 5 starters be all NBA first-round draft picks. Larry Johnson, Stacey Augmon, Greg Anthony. They had a record of 34-1 back in 89-90 season. They went 18-0 in the Big West. In 1989, they would go on to become NCAA champions. How did they go about doing it? Well, in the tournament, the 64-team tournament, there was no playing games back then. It was just the 64 best players in the world. Their 64th seeded team that they played in the 64 in the first round was Arkansas Little Rock. We went ahead and blew out Arkansas Little Rock 102-72. Top man in scoring for us back then was Stacey Augmon, Plastic Man, with 16 points. Rebounds was 12 rebounds by Grandmama Larry Johnson. We defeated Arkansas Little Rock 102-72. We went to the seeded 32 teams in the 64 team tournament. They played Ohio State. Ohio State was a top 10 ranked team. UNLV beat them boys 76-65. Top scoring man back then, 23 points by Larry Johnson. Top rebounder, 16 rebounds by Larry Johnson. So Larry Johnson had 23 points, 16 rebounds, a large, loud double-double. UNLV went to the Sweet 16. They played against a team that scared them. Ball State. That's right. Ball State scared UNLV. UNLV escaped 69-67. If they was to lose in that tournament, as great as they were, as they was rock stars wherever they played. If they would have lost that game to Ball State, it would have been tragedy on the campus of UNLV, broken hearts. It would have been an all-for-nothing show. Because like I said, UNLV was on a world tour in basketball, destroying teams. Make sure you check out the 30-30 for 30 with UNLV, the documentary on ESPN, or you can definitely check out UNLV Running Rebels on YouTube. After beating Ball State, 20 points by Stacey Augmon and 13 rebounds by Larry Johnson. After they beat Ball State, they went to the Final Four. In the Final Four, they played against a team called Loyola Marymount. Before I go on further in the story, I just want to pay my respects to Hank Gathers, rest in peace, rest in palaces, former player that passed out on the basketball court due to heart arrhythmia and lost his life playing the game he loved. But UNLV played against Loyola Marymount, and in that big game, UNLV beat them by 30, 131-101. Plastic Man Stacey Augmon scored 33 points. Top rebounder was Larry Johnson, who had 18 boards. This UNLV team was determined. This UNLV team was not to lose. And they got stronger and stronger and stronger after that Sweet 16 game against Ball State. And I apologize. They played Loyola Marymount in the 8th in the Sweet 16. Oh, no, the Final 8. I'm sorry. They went along to play the Final Four where they played Georgia Tech, a team that was point guard driven. They played Georgia Tech, and they beat Georgia Tech 90-81. Top man was Stacey Augmon with 22 points. Top rebounder was 7-foot center David Butler with 10. That game allowed UNLV to prepare for a juggernaut. A team coached by Mike Koreski, the Duke Blue Devils, Bobby Hurley, Leitner, and Grant Hill. Duke came in there with a vengeance. But UNLV was just so strong that year. Nothing could stop them. UNLV routed Duke 103-73, beat them boys by 30. Mike Koreski held his head down as he shook hands with other players and was a great sportsman, but he held his head down because he never had a Duke team get beat like that. The top man that game was the pure shooter, Anderson Hutt, 6'1" guard. He dropped Duke off for 29 points. Loud. And Larry Johnson followed with 11 rebounds. That team was so great. Today, there are 4 of those players from the 1989, 1990, 1991 team whose jerseys are retired. That's Larry Johnson, number 4. So if you're interested in getting jerseys for frames or to wear, whatnot, number 4 UNLV is a legendary jersey rocked by Larry Johnson. Number 32, Plastic Man, Stacey Augmon. Number 50, Greg Anthony. And number 35 for Armin Gilliam. Their jerseys are retired in UNLV history. But there needs to be another jersey added to that rafter. And here at Coffee Talk Podcast, we want to go ahead and salute him. And that's 6'1" guard, Anderson Hunt. Anderson Hunt was hip hop. He had the cool ball fade, and his jumper was pretty. You give him the green light, he was going to do his thing. And he had a lot of heart. Anderson Hunt in the 1989-1990 championship game against Duke, when he scored 29 points, he wound up being the outstanding player of the game. He went 3 seasons of college, ranked in the top 20 in field goal percentage. He helped UNLV win that championship in 1989 and 90, and then took them back to the championship in 1991. And his jersey is now retired. I say to my viewers and my supporters here at Coffee Talk Podcast that enjoy watching our sports show, that we need to write to UNLVrebel.com. That's UNLVrebel.com. And suggest that they put Anderson Hunt jersey in the rafters with the likes of Larry Johnson, Stacey Augmon, Greg Anthony, and Armin Gilliam. This is the 1989-1990 UNLV Running Rebels. And this is our story about them. They would later on go on the next year back-to-back championships, and they would lose to the Duke Blue Devils in 1991. Make sure you go out and check out both games that you can find in the archives at YouTube or any other venues that show videos of UNLV. Make sure you check out the documentary. Anyways, that is our segment on UNLV. And I am your host, MISHUMA SABA, M.SABA. And this is our Thursday night sports edition here at Coffee Talk Podcast, the Cultural Variety Podcast. Thank you for just tuning in and being with us here on this Thursday night. I know you with your families. You might not check out the show until later on this evening. We do got another show coming up tonight, late night tonight. It's going to be great, but it's going to be not our sports show, but we definitely going to dive in, talk about Chapter 5 of the ISIS Papers by no other than our greatest scholar, our greatest ancestor, Dr. Francis Cress Westling. So make sure you tune in at 10 o'clock tonight for that segment, that episode, I should say. And we're going to get it in, Coffee Talk. You know what I'm saying? We definitely get it in all the time, flavor after flavor after flavor. All right. So tonight, as we get ready to finish off our show, our last segment in the show, we want to talk about youth basketball. And the reason why I want to bring it up is because, man, it hurts my heart that there's not enough coaches. Now, I done gave back. I done coached different teams for years. But it hurts my heart that there's a decline, especially in my community, of brothers wanting to coach. Now, I know a lot of brothers, you know what I'm saying? And so we have these discussions. And a lot of people are like quick to blame the recreation directors, or the offices, I should say, the city, with how the rec centers are ran. Now, it is their job to police, in the sense of policy, on how the rec centers should be ran. And that's okay, because you got to have some type of laws. You're going to have chaos at these rec centers. So I'm all for that. But I have a problem with our people, our brothers and our sisters, using excuses like that all the time. It doesn't take much to coach a little league base basketball team. 1 day a week, 2 days a week, maybe in a game. Now, I know some of the things y'all say. You know, the parents be tripping. And maybe so. And maybe not the majority of the parents. But yeah, some parents do be tripping. Putting fear in the refs, putting fear in the whole environment. But I remember a time when all the fathers that would go to these games, and they all would work together to make sure that the environment was not only safe, but making sure that there wasn't no rah-rah activity, people getting carried away. Today, you hear a lot of stories, like people bringing guns to little league games and all that type of shit. It's unnecessary. We're supposed to be a village, and we're supposed to be building up the kids' self-esteem through athletics. You're not going to win every game. And the kids can't live through you vicariously. You played already. But what we can do is teach our kids how to be organized. Teach our kids how to follow direction. Teach our kids how to work with others and build trust. Because these are keys that you can take not only in the basketball sense, but you can take this into the business world. I always wonder when I see women, because a lot of women are at these kids' games, and I wonder where the men be at. Some of you are considered boyfriends. Some of them might not even be your kids. But as an obligation to being with that woman, you should be there to support that kid when they want to play sports, even if it's not yours. Just being a mentor counts. But a lot of you men are using the excuses, oh man, them people. No, when's the last time you chose to volunteer and be committed? This is how we win back our rec centers, and this is how we continue to provide growth and opportunity to our children. We have to be accountable and hold others accountable that a rec center is a safe place. And we can't keep turning to the city to do something. We need to volunteer. It doesn't hurt to get you and one other guy, or you and your couple of your homeboys, and y'all commit to one day out the week, maybe 2 days out the week in a game to go ahead and give back for a season. Some of these little league games at the rec center levels, they only play about 8 to 10 games. You can do that. Everybody can't make AAU. Everybody can't do that. And AAU is just a whole different arena in itself. Scandal, cheats, all that. Money, all that. But there's other kids that want to move along. And they need your help. They need you to inspire them. Not blaming on some other people that they need to come in and help. You always want to pass our problems to Europeans for them to help us. And this is no disrespect. I'm just saying and holding ourselves accountable to the fact that we can get involved in our children's athletics when it comes to these rec centers that are now starting to go into decline because of all the issues that they're having. They need more men up there to help guide that. Be a volunteer, to give back to the community. What's your thoughts on youth basketball? What's your thoughts on UNLV as we reflected tonight? What's your thoughts on Dwight Howard finally calling SHAQ out on his BS? I would love to hear about it. Go ahead and leave a comment. Leave a comment. Leave a comment. Make sure you leave a comment. Hit the like button. Subscribe to Coffee Talk Podcast, our cultural variety podcast show. This is what we do. We give you the flavor every Wednesday night or Thursday when we need an alternate night. But I would like to go ahead and just say this. Thank you for tuning in tonight. And if this is your first time, welcome to the show as well. We'll see you again Saturday, Coffee Talk Podcast. I am your host, tuning out. MISHUMA SABA, M.SABA. And this is our cultural variety podcast. I'm going to hit you with the universal peace sign. We out of here. Peace.